Welcome, everybody, to Need I Say More, episode 14. My name is Giuseppe. I'm joined by Terrance.
Yes, sir.
As always, Terrance, how you feeling, dog?
I'm okay.
Warm fucking day in April, I'll tell you that.
Okay. The weather's gonna be crazy though. Like literally in a couple of days.
It's weird, man. Like today it's like 75 right now, which is way too. Anyone who listens to the show knows I fucking hate that shit. But then tomorrow is like it's gonna drop like the 30s tomorrow night, and I don't know what's happening.
No. We can't start with the weather. The people like that listen to us in like what was it? Europe, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, people live in Europe.
Yeah. No, there's like the one guy. Who's the one guy?
We do have one person who downloaded in the UK. Yeah. They never, I didn't check the email. Maybe they reached out because I didn't see any emails last night.
Shout outs to you. Sorry. You probably don't have our weather.
Yeah, whoever you are, individual who I don't know. Write in. We'll feature you. Yeah. You can say anything and we'll feature
you. Gotta love technology that we can pinpoint stuff like that, right?
I know, man. Or just the fact that we can put this out and someone fucking thousands of miles away can see it.
Or it might be scary for them to be like, fuck these guys.
Crazy New Yorkers probably gonna shoot me if they
know where I am now. Like,
I mean, yeah, the UK is a very big place. I mean, that's like saying we know someone in America. I mean, who the hell?
It is. But theoretically, all we really have to do is search the IP address, and we'll find a range.
Why are you doing this? I'm gonna end all this out. You're gonna see how we don't know how to do it. You're making it sound crazy.
Yeah, we don't know how to do that.
Terrance, let me ask you before we get to our Black Excellence shout of the week. When you use the bathroom at home, right? Do you close the door every time you leave, or do you just kind of like leave?
Why wouldn't I close the door? Hold on one second. Let me answer this call. This might be a little bit. Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, you get a live.
Hi, how you doing?
Call by Terrance Gathers.
Yes.
If he gives us credit card information, I will leave it in.
Yes, they definitely are. It's a basement unit. So yeah, I kind of put it in the notes. I was wondering, can I add something else to that order? Do I have to do the whole thing over online? Just like 6-piece chocolate covered strawberries with the white drizzle as well.
Ooh, key into what Terrance is ordering. White chocolate covered strawberries.
I
wonder what that's for.
All right, yeah. If it's what do you have already prepared as far as like chocolate covered strawberries?
The big hit with the ladies.
Oh, you got to make them fresh.
Make them fresh.
Okay. All right. Just stick with what I got already. All right, I'll stick with that. Thank you. All right, looks like they might actually make it.
Gotta pick those strawberries fresh, huh?
Yeah.
Anywho, Terrance, do you close the bathroom door when you leave it?
Like after?
Yeah, like you finish up, you wash your hands, you leave the bathroom. What do? You close the door every time?
No, I leave the door open.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I have a roommate who always closes it. I can never fucking tell if anyone's inside of it. That's annoying as hell. Especially since like I am down the hall, so I literally have to walk up to the door to really get the angle to see if it's closed, like shut, or just mostly closed.
No, you leave the door open, you cut the light off.
Yes, that's like what I thought that's what normal people do. I don't know what this chick's thinking. Anywho, Terrance, onward with the show. Black Excellence year continues because we will not be stopped. They try to stop us, but they can't.
They tried to stop us.
Who's our shout out of the week, Terrance?
Our Black Excellence shout out goes to the one and only Harlem legend, Black Rob.
Black Rob?
Black Rob, yes.
I don't know if I know
Robert
who Black
Ross.
Rob is.
Well, you live in Harlem. This is actually
he just passed away. Oh wow, geez.
Just passed away, and I hate doing this. I really I hate doing this. I don't want to do this, obviously, but with certain people, God damn it, why the fuck are you calling me back? Give me a second.
Here we go, another one.
Hello.
I'm sorry, Black Rob.
Yes. What do you mean? Like the cookies? Oh, you can give me strawberry shortcake and chocolate covered strawberries.
Interesting choices, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, chocolate chip cookies. Oh, yeah, you can mix those.
I love chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah, you can mix the strawberry shortcake and chocolate chip cookies. All right, thank you. Sorry about that.
Sounds
Let me.
tasty.
All right. Yeah. So a shout out goes out to Black Rob, and I really, 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 I hate doing this. I hate having to report, that there's been another passing in the hip hop community, or just in general, like there's been another passing. But it seems that 2021 is 2020's sister. So
His ugly sister.
it's literally just another death after another death. But Black Rob, for those of you that were in New York and was kind of, you knew when you hear this sound, when this instrumental came on, and it was just whoa. Literally, that was it. When Black Rob taught you what whoa was in that song, it was just crazy. And I know, as me growing up in New York, it was a big deal. Music was a big part of what we were in New York, and this dude definitely contributed to that as well. I know everybody knows the Harlem Shake from him, and the song Whoa and everything like that. But Black Rob was a really, really good
He did the
storyteller.
Harlem Shake.
He didn't do the Harlem Shake. He did the song that everybody was dancing to
Well,
with the Harlem Shake.
that's what I meant.
Yeah, yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. So it was really big, man. And like losing DMX and then losing Black Rob, like
Yeah,
as a
man.
hip hop fan, as somebody that really was like really deeply embedded in this, especially on the East Coast, it hurts. It hurts, man. Like it really hurts to see like the people that you almost not necessarily forgot about, but you never thought they would be gone, right? You never really kind
Hard,
of was
man.
like,
Yeah, like when people, when
yeah,
people don't
man.
die, when they're not old, like in their 70s, 80s, it's hard. You just don't expect it.
It just was tough. And he was young, 51. DMX died at 50. Black Rob died at 51. You know, we have
52.
to take care, we gotta take care of our bodies. We only have one body,
It's
you
kidney
know.
failure for him. That's
Yeah, we really have to, and this hit home for me because Joe, like I had kidney issues, and I've
I
been dealing
remember
with
that. Yeah.
kidney issues for a few years. So, this really hit home with me. I'm watching this, I'm like, man, like that could have been me,
What can you do to like prevent kidney issues? Is there like something
it's
you
not
can do?
necessarily it's not necessarily something you can prevent. Like, so I had hydronephrosis, which is basically something that I was born with, and it didn't really affect me until my late 20s into my 30s. The doctor basically was like, hey, you've been living with this for a long time, and you know you can do something about it now, or you can wait till you get later. Like it's either or. And when I found out about it, I was in my late 20s. I was probably like 28, 29. And I didn't even, he was like, yeah, you can have surgery now if you want to. And I was like, I'm good. And I waited. And it wasn't until recently, just last year, where I had surgery, I finally, got the things that I needed. I got the surgery done that I need to have. And it was literally because I can recover faster at a younger age than I can at an older age,
Right, right.
obviously. And yeah, like I said, it's not with the kidney is real. It's tough because it's not something that you can necessarily do to prevent these things that happen to the kidney. And there are people that are living with just one kidney. You can live with essentially one functioning
Right.
kidney.
I would donate my kidney if you need one, Terrence.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man.
I mean, I
I,
don't know
I
if
appreciate that.
we qualify,
Blood
but I
type
do.
probably won't match up.
I don't know what's your blood type.
No, I don't actually.
I think mine's like O positive, like universal donor. So
Oh.
does that also matter with
No,
kidney
I know
type?
who
I
to
don't
go
know.
to.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I know who to go to.
Got you,
You
brother.
But no, it was
Black Rob, shout out to you, sir.
is crazy. Shout out to Black Rob. Well wishes to the family. And I'm just tired of losing people right now, man.
It's been a bad few. 2020, 2021 are just not good years. Not good years at all.
No. Ever since we got into this 20 aspect,
Yeah, the 2020s have so far been quite shit
right?
compared
You
to the
know what? But
1920s,
that's
which were
life,
the
right? As soon as you get out of your teenage years, things just start going
maybe
downhill,
the metaphor,
right?
Yeah.
Isn't that
the
life?
century is only in its 20s, so now things are going to shit.
Right? It's just like, oh, you're an adult now. Let me just show you everything that you actually like have to be responsible of, and things are just going wrong. Everything you did previously wrong in your teenage years, yeah, you're starting to see the effect of these.
Um,
Life is
maybe
ridiculous.
that's what it is. I don't know, man. The 1920s were literally called the Roaring Twenties. They were like supposed to be one of the coolest times in American history. Obviously, it ended in 1929 with the stock market crash, which led to a severe thing called the Great Depression. But at least it started off good. So I guess maybe we're reversing it. We're starting off shit, and then it's going to become amazing. You think that's what's going to happen?
I hope so.
The Roaring 30s, maybe the Roaring 2030s. Terrance,
I really hope so.
I was thinking about something like a year or two ago. I was on Twitter. And I saw a debate going of is finna a word? What are your thoughts, Terrance? Do you think it's finna?
I hate finna.
Really? You're not finna use it? I hate
that.
First time I've ever said it, Terrance. How'd I
do? I went down south one year when I was younger, and that was a thing. Like, I'm finna go to the store, finna do this, finna do. And
that's not necessarily
so lost.
I've heard New Yorkers say that. Is that a Southern thing? I've heard New Yorkers say it.
That's a Southern.
I'm not saying it's a New York thing. I'm just saying like it's. I've heard it in the
Southern to the goddamn core. It's Southern for sure, yo.
It's been people migrate here.
I hate that word finna.
Really? I thought you would go. Of course it is. No, you just no. Fuck
I hate that goddamn finna. Finna. It just sounds stupid.
Yeah,
I apologize to my Southern folks. I got family in Charleston. I apologize to my Southern folks. But finna, you could easily say
what's it stand for? What's it stand for? What does it mean?
Feeling to.
I'm feeling to go to the store. That doesn't make any sense.
I'm feeling to go to the store.
I'm finna go to the store. So it's not cool like dead ass. Dead ass is cool, but
no, dead ass is cool. Dead ass is
dead
New
ass
York.
Is a very New York thing.
That's us. That's what dead ass means.
If someone says dead ass, they're either from New York
life.
or they've been living in New York. No one from California is shopping dead ass.
Again, even if you've never heard it in your life, when somebody says it in a sentence, you know exactly what it means. When someone says finna, you just look at them with a confused face. You what?
You just said, sir.
You're what? Finna? I'm finna. Like, what is that?
You know what needs to be?
What is that?
People say too much. Facts. People say that like facts, yo, facts. They say it too much, but they say it too much. There's nothing wrong with saying it, but you can't say it 11 times in a one paragraph.
I love facts. I love 100%.
I think that's getting a little play it out 100%. I say it on the podcast. I feel like it's too much.
Nah, not really. 100%. It's just 100%. You know exactly what it means. Again,
well, yeah,
that's what I love about New York slang.
There's no code. You know
exactly what it means.
There's no code with 100%. I mean, it just means 100%. Like finna is like.
I agree.
I mean,
I understand. You know exactly what it is. When someone says dead ass, it's a seriousness to it. It's more emphasis.
I do love that dead ass is very just New York. Like if you're from California, you ain't saying dead ass unless you're from New York.
What they're saying out there in Cali.
I don't know what they say. I mean, listen, it's 420, so they're probably saying, I don't know, nothing coherent.
Not much.
Not right now.
Not much.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen.
Shout out to my weed smokers.
Sorry. Unfortunately, me and Terrance are somewhat sticks in the mud when it comes to drugs. We just don't do them really.
I like edibles and only once in a while. How often
do you do them? Are you
Nah. Only once in a while. You know what the thing is? I feel like, when I've obviously I've had edibles, I've tried weed or whatever. Smoking weed just not my thing. So
yeah, I feel you.
Edibles I've tried as well. I can do it on a plane because I don't like to be awake on a plane. Like for certain,
it knocks you out.
Yeah, it kind of knocks me out. It really kind of mellows me out or whatever, and that's chill for me. But like as a recreational, just kind of whoa.
Sorry, man. I might need to edit that out.
That was.
I need you to understand something about me, Terrance. I've been developing my old man sneeze for like 10 years, bro. I'm telling you, man.
Edit that out.
Bro, for the last 10 years, Terrance, I've been becoming, my sneezes are like, I'm 75 years old. You just heard it right there. Did that not sound like a 75-year-old man just sneezed?
Sitting in your rocking chair.
It literally, you literally stopped and went, whoa. That's how bad it was.
I know you leaned away from the mic too.
Yeah, I thought about pausing it, but I was like, I need you to know I'm not just not talking. So I kind of leaned away, but yeah, it was still.
He could have easily muted himself.
I did, but then the problem was you were talking. I didn't want you to think I needed to respond, but I was like, I don't know. I can edit it out, so we'll see.
No. You gotta leave that in. Don't edit. This is the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry.
You're also gonna hear Terrance's phone calls.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about something quickly that's going to lead into one of our bigger topics. So James, do you on your car, on your rearview mirror, do you have like an air freshener or anything hanging from it?
No.
Why not?
Oh wait, rear view mirror. I'm sorry. Like in the back. I thought you meant sorry, backseat. Yeah, of course.
Terrance, did you know it is illegal to have that, and cops will use that as an excuse to stop you? Now, as you are a very close friend of mine and are black, I highly suggest you take that off because I do not need to see you shot in the face.
It's illegal.
It is, yeah. Most states illegal to have anything on there, quote unquote. Apparently, quote unquote, like is blocking your
Impairing
view.
vision.
Yeah. So that's it, but they'll use that as an excuse to pull you over. I read a whole article about this in the New York Times. It's just a bullshit reason to pull you over, and then when me and you've been in the car when they gave us a bullshit reason to pull us over. I mean, we know all about that.
Right.
But yeah, anyone listening, take that shit off your rear view. Don't give them any reason to stop you and fucking pull you out of the car and pretend to tase you, but they somehow have a gun.
And you see
None of that
the
shit.
problem with that is that you really only have to worry about that mostly if you're black.
Yeah, I don't need to worry about that.
99.5, 99.8% of the time.
Yeah. Like obviously I think cops will use it for if they just really need like the quota up or whatever, but I definitely think people of color are for sure getting that more than anyone else.
Right. And it's
so if you're
like
listening
the
to the
only
show,
time,
take that shit out. You too, Terrance.
the only time if we're the only time we're really paid attention to is because someone assumes we're in the wrong for something.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about that instance where me and you were stopped, pulled out of the car and everything. I don't know if you want to get into that, but that was the same
I'm not
thing.
sure where we did that on this show. We might have.
We definitely haven't talked about that.
We haven't done it on this show. Oh, okay.
That's all right.
But that's important. That's an important conversation, though, Joe. That is an important conversation. Because that is, I'm just going to the end right now, really quick. That is a moment where you, as a white person, like literally being right next to me in the passenger seat, was like literally, close encounter with that situation.
Yeah, and I've encountered that before,
right?
In similar situations with, obviously you, but a lot of our friends and coworkers were people of color. I don't have many white friends, and so I've dealt with that before.
Was you in the passenger seat when we went to the?
I don't.
When we went to the Bronx too, to the shop, to the strip club.
No.
You wasn't riding the passenger seat.
Royale was in the passenger seat. I was, and then he's taller than me, so I was like, "You take the passenger."
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was just trying to remember.
Yeah, but it's bullshit. So listen, our main topic, Terrance, I think we have talked about is straight up this: why do cops keep killing black people? And obviously, I don't think there's a direct answer for this. But what the fuck, man? Like, why does this keep happening, man? I mean, like, listen, I know they say like progress takes time, right? Like the civil rights movement didn't obviously happen in a day. These things take years. I get that. I don't know, man. Are we any better now than in? Let's go back to 2010. Let's go back a little more than 10 years. Are we better off now than we were 10 years ago?
No, I can't see it. No,
that's what I'm saying, man. Like I know we're protesting and people are trying stuff and we're trying to get like bills passed. There have been some stuff that's been passed, but fuck me if things feel any different. I think the only things felt different a little bit last year because everyone was like locked up in their apartments. But in the last month, there's been like literally 12 shootings. And a lot of them were like, black people getting killed. Daunte Wright, that was his name, right?
Daunte Wright, yes.
Daunte Wright, just again, it was a taser. They thought it was a taser, and she just shot him. It's just
I would have, and I never want to see a life taken at all. First of all,
it just depresses
but
me.
I probably would have felt differently if she would have said, "I made a mistake."
What did she just? She just said,
I thought it was the taser.
She never actually said, "I'm sorry, I made a mistake." She said, "I thought it was taser."
She said, "I thought it was a taser." She's been sticking to that. I thought it was a taser.
I mean, based on the video, I guess I'm not saying maybe she.
Joe,
listen,
Joe.
But this is what I'll say: you can't make mistakes in certain fields. Like a pilot can't accidentally make a mistake and crash his plane into the side of a mountain.
Exactly.
So if you're a cop, it's like, I'm sorry, you can't make a mistake.
You don't have the luxury
to
of making. And then at the same time, you're a vet. You've been doing this job for 25 years.
Yeah, she's
25, 26 years.
Something.
Whatever. Let's give it an extra year.
But it was at least 20 years for sure.
Let's give it an extra year. 2 decades.
You've been doing this job. So clearly, at some point in time, you know how when you're doing a job for a long time, things become almost like repetitious, right?
It's second nature. You don't even think about them. You're like,
Right.
I've done
You
this
don't
a
even
million
think
times.
about it. I know.
That's what
So
I mean.
so when I used to go to work and I used to put my uniform on, I knew exactly where I wanted to put my name badge after a time. I knew the exact spot. It's going in the same spot. I knew exactly like where I'm placing my stuff in my pockets. My pen goes in my right because it's easier for me to access because, when I'm a righty. So when I need to write something, I'm pulling it out of my right. I put something, my phone in this pot, whatever it is.
The whole thing you've done, it's not the first time you're doing it.
I've done it so many times. I know. So even if, and obviously I'm not a cop. I've never been a cop in my life. Right. But even if I'm in a situation where I can't necessarily get clear thoughts going across, like you said, it's almost second nature. So I without even thinking, I know where whatever is on me. So for someone to be doing a job for over 20 years and for them to say, I thought it was a taser, it was holding it.
Saying, man,
we saw the video. She was holding it. She announced it twice. Taser. Announced it twice. And not one time did she hesitate on pulling that trigger. Now, again, had she said I made a mistake, had she said, we thought it was a gun in the car, even thinking it was a gun in the car is a bullshit excuse.
What?
And here's the thing. Here's the kicker. She was training someone that day.
Yeah, great.
She was training someone that day.
So to clarify, not only has she been doing the job for 20 plus years, she's in fact so good at her job that she's training other people to do it, but this still happened.
And then she's training someone the wrong way.
Do you see how that makes no sense, though, Terrance? It's not even that. Listen, if you've been in a job for 20 years, you assumingly know, but it's not even that. You're in fact been there for so long that they've chosen you, because assuming you know what you're talking about, that you're so good, you're actually you don't get, generally you're not a trainer of something unless you really know how to do it. Not just you've been doing it, but you can actually do it. But somehow she still, quote unquote, made a mistake and Listen, I don't know. I'm trying to read the specifics. I don't remember.
She didn't say she made a mistake. Let's make that clear.
When this happened to Oscar Wright, so the movie Fruitvale Station is based off of what happened to Oscar Grant, sorry. This is the same thing he said happened. Oscar Grant was cuffed on his stomach. The guy supposedly pulled out, why he needed a taser him while he's cuffed on his stomach, no one knows. Pulls out a gun and shoots him in the back and he kills him. Now, he said the same thing, but in that situation, I don't know. I assume it's similar in this situation. Your gun is on the right hip. That's where the gun is always with people. Unless as far as I know,
side.
Yeah, and then maybe if you're left-handed, it's different. I don't know. But the taser is on the literal other side. It's not next to it. It's on the other side of your hip, 100% on the other end. And again, a taser is generally a bright yellow or something, maybe orange. A gun
they've changed that color. They changed it from black to yellow.
For this purpose.
Yeah, it was years ago. I don't exactly know the year.
And again, it's probably around 2010 because Oscar Grant was 2009, so I wouldn't be surprised.
It was a long time ago.
But and again,
they changed it.
A gun and a taser are also very different in weight. One is made of plastic and one's made of metal. Like they're designed to be different. So I just don't. How do you? I don't know, man. And also, like, did anyone not notice she pulled out the gun and thought it was a taser? Well, she said, "I'll tase him," but did they not? Were they not looking at her, going, "You have a gun in your hands"?
And there was 3 cops, and I watched the video a ton of times. Yeah, he tried to get back in the car to get away. Yes, absolutely, he was in the wrong for that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fine.
Right now, they are now struggling with him to get him out. Right, there's 2 of them.
Yeah, there's also why do you even need a taser? There's 3 cops and 1 20-year-old kid. What are you doing? Like you can't handle this kid.
It's 3 against 1, right?
Now let's
say worst case scenario, he gets away. Now it is your job.
Information.
It is your job as a police officer. Let's say, for instance, he got in a car, you weren't able to get him out, he got away. Now he's driving. You have the ability to call for backup. You have the ability to call for helicopters. You know
all of this information. You know who he is. He would at that point be a felon on the run.
All of this. You got all of this. And then granted, the other reason that came out was because they ran the plates and they figured out he had a warrant out, but the warrant was because it got sent to the wrong. He didn't never receive the warrant because it was sent to the wrong address and then sent back to the courthouse.
It says here that they found a gross misdemeanor warrant for his arrest. The warrant was issued after Wright missed a court date for a misdemeanor of carrying a pistol without a permit and fleeing an officer. So listen.
But they never said that the address was incorrect, right?
I don't want to sit here and tell you that Daunte Wright, I guess apparently is a criminal of some capacity. That I don't want to sit here and pretend that's not true. It doesn't mean he's going to be shot in the chest.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything.
You know, like that's what I'm saying.
Life is a life.
That's what I'm trying to say. People bring that up. It's like, listen, he was wrong. George Floyd was wrong too. I think he was passing. That's fine. They should go through the court system and whatever they get. It's not. They don't deserve to be shot and or fucking have your neck pressed on for 9 minutes.
To a fair trial.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like,
what happened to a right to a fair trial? These cops are playing judge, jury, and execution.
Listen, if Daunte Wright pulled out a gun and shot one of the cops in the face, and another cop pulled out a gun and shot him, I'd say, well, that's a fucked up situation, and I can understand why you'd use a gun on him. It's not what he was doing, and all he was trying to do was leave. There's three cops who are trained to handle people. The one thing they are trained to do is handle people in these situations, like grab them, hold them down. But you can't overpower this kid.
And you also got to think about something else. The natural human reaction is fight or flight, right?
Yeah, cops is just a fight. I think usually. I think it's usually just kill. Generally,
fight or flight. You know, but when you're like in a scared situation.
No, you're 100% right. Yeah, it's fight or flight. You get adrenaline. It's to either run away from the danger or to fight that danger.
Right. So you have to think about the mind of a black man when he's pulled over or whatever, right? And I've been in this situation so many times. I've literally imagined hit the gas. He's already out the car. Hit the gas. Go.
No.
And of course, that's not the right train of thought, right? Of course, that's not the right train of thought. It's really
going to be much worse for you in the end. Even if, let's say you get away, like the cop knows who you are. It's not like they don't
understand. But also, the only thing I'm thinking is I gotta live. But I'm more afraid afraid of him doing something when he gets to this damn door. Dude, of him doing something over me taking the chance and just trying to get away. See, I'm telling you because I've been in this situation. I've lived it. So I understand when somebody like a 19-year-old kid jumps back in. Obviously, he's 19, so he's not even thinking correctly.
See, Terrance, that's what's sad though. That's what's sad though, is you are saying you do it because you don't want to basically get killed. Whereas if I was in that situation, I just don't want to break the law. But you have to worry about you might get killed from this cop if you don't do the right thing. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's
just sad. You know, like me and you are very similar in a lot of ways. Similar height, similar build. We're a little less than a year apart. Not a lot different about, we're different people, but a lot different about us. But just because you're black and I'm white, two completely different feelings when a cop would stop us. And that just
I mean, we're trained, not necessarily with trained, but in the black culture,
trained, not intentionally trained, but life has trained you.
Yeah, life has trained me to 100%. Not really, fuck with cops, and it's not necessarily because like we think that they're bad people. I have friends that are cops.
Yeah, but how many times have we seen?
Bad at all.
How many times have we seen this? You don't know if the cop is a good cop or he's going to try to shoot you.
It is scary. It's a scary situation. Remember when we got pulled over? I had the PBA cards.
We should say that story at some point. I don't know if you want to do it right now. It's kind of a long story.
It's a bit of a long story. You might save that for another time. Yeah. Whatever. But I had the PBA cards. I gave them the PBA cards, and it was almost like it didn't matter. And for anybody that doesn't know, the PBA cards are basically, if you're a friend or family. Right? No, not the shields.
Well, they have like it's a picture of like their, not a picture. It's like
a card that you get from like
a business card
family almost, of police officers, and they write their badge number, they write their precinct, they write their name on it, and their phone number, just in case anything happens with an officer. You give them that with your ID and whatever, and they're supposed to call and just like tell the officer who you're connected with what's going on and whatever case may be, right? So when we were in that situation where I got pulled over and I give it to him, the dude acted like it was nothing.
Yeah,
he acted like it was nothing.
Those guys were great examples of what the cops when people say they hate cops, they think of those guys who pull us over. Guys who don't give a fuck. They just love the power.
And it was 3 cars. Let's not forget that it was 3 cars that
it was like 6 or 7 cars. But
Terrance, that's the nervous situation because I'm I'm already afraid because I got pulled over.
Do you ever wonder about that situation? Do you think because I was white, things turned out differently?
Absolutely.
Sad, man.
100%. 100%. And Joe, you don't understand this, but again, and it's crazy. This is the civilization that we live in. But because I have a white friend, I'm viewed differently as well.
Just because in general amongst people?
In general, because I know somebody that's white and I've been friends with somebody that's white for a long period of time.
12 years, man. It's our 12-year friendship anniversary. Don't you forget it.
I'm viewed differently as well. I'm viewed as the black guy that's kind of cool in a sense. Like it's like I'm not really a threat in a sense.
Huh? Really?
Yeah. No. This is 100% true.
I guess it's a good thing that you're not a threat. I mean, I don't.
But if you think about this, it's like, what about the black guys that just weren't, they didn't grow up in an area where they had
black guy who was just like
people
you
around.
Doesn't have. I mean, you didn't technically. We only met after you.
Yeah, that's true. I grew up in the hood, so I didn't got a lot of white people around me. It was only because I went to work and I started working in a different environment, but I met different cultures and different people and started to learn different things and things like that. So that's the only reason why that happened. But black people that only have black friends and things like that or whatever, imagine us walking outside or whatever, a group of 6 black guys, right? 6 black guys looks entirely different than, let's say, 4 black guys and 2 white guys.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
6 black guys looks like a gang,
but that's it shouldn't though. It doesn't. It's not really. It's
but
just
it does.
What people's perception is, right?
That's just what it is. That's what they'll tell you. 6 black guys looks like a gang. 4 black guys, two white guys looks like just some people hanging out.
It's just the perception is just shit. It's just the world we live in. I mean, it shouldn't though. This is my thing. Like, I don't know, man. What do we do? How do we make this better? Like, people are marching.
I don't have
trying to change these laws, but it's just like I genuinely feel like, I don't know, like this has happened in history where people have protested and tried to make, in the 60s were notorious for protests, right? That's when the civil rights movement happened, but also like people were protesting Vietnam, and a lot of things happened at that time. And a lot of them worked eventually, but I don't know, man. I feel like we've been basically doing the same thing for 10 years and we're no closer to getting better.
It's a very repetitive process. And
you know what bothers me though, specifically, is after George Floyd, Minnesota, all their their lawmakers, whoever, I don't know, the council members, I don't know who they were specifically, said they're going to defund the police. They're going to completely redo how they think of the police officers. Like the way they're doing it now is not working. They all agreed unanimously to redo it. Before the year came to an end, they all had flipped. They all were like, no, it's not really what we meant. What we meant was this, and they all changed their tune. And this is what I mean. Like, so nothing's actually changed. They just said at the time, and then they just went back on their own word.
Chris Cuomo said something really powerful the other day when I was looking at it on Twitter. He said things will only change when white kids start to die.
Great. Lose,
and as much as that is a horrible thing to say, and it sucks to hear, it's no way he's wrong.
Well, here's the thing: the white people are dying in mass shootings. But again, even has that changed? We've had several mass shootings in the last couple of weeks alone.
Of course not.
So
we've had more mass shootings than we had days.
That's what I was saying, bro. So what the fuck? Even that isn't actually happening though. Like white people are getting dragged. No one's mistaking a gun for a taser for a gun.
When white people start to die from the hands of police, that's when that aspect will change.
But so I do know what you're saying, but at the same time, I question that because it's not happening with mass shootings because everyone's dying. I mean, we had
because they're holding on to their right to bear arms, and they're taking that Second Amendment.
You don't think they're but you don't think they're going to hold on to their cops? It's to say, I do know what you're saying. I think that that's a good point, but I would believe it if it was in fact that like white kids are dying. Sandy Hook, literally a bunch of like white elementary kids were just shot and killed. We still don't have any gun reform. Like literally, you sent me an article, we talked about this, where some kid from 18, where was he from? Like Virginia or Ohio or something?
Oh, Ohio. Yeah.
He had a fucking AK-47 that he legally purchased. Legally, he was allowed to do it, and he brought it into New York and got arrested. Now, listen, we have no idea what's happening.
He claims he didn't know. He claims he didn't.
Maybe
know.
Those cops
I find that hard to believe, but let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's just
maybe the cops prevented the mass shooting. Maybe they didn't. But here, why the fuck can anyone be allowed to purchase a fucking AK-47?
An 18-year-old can't buy an alcohol drink,
but he could buy an assault
but
rifle.
he can buy a drink.
This is what I mean. Like, you know what, man? For a long time, I was like unsure about like guns. I was like, I don't know. Like, our country was built from a revolution, so I right about all this shit. But as time's going on, I'm like, it makes zero sense that we allow anyone essentially who's above 18 to buy an assault rifle. This isn't like a gun for like a handgun for protection. No, an assault rifle to use for war. There's no other purpose for assault rifles other than war. We allow those to be purchased. This kid's 18, Terrance. He wasn't even, he's 18 and he bought an AK-47. I mean, this is what I mean. Like, things aren't changing, man. You know, like, I don't know what else we can do. Like, it's just, I don't know. Things aren't changing.
So really quick, this kind of just popped up into my head. I just looked up how long it takes to become a cop.
I think it's like a 6-month thing.
6 months, right? Which is like, would you say that's enough time?
No, especially since I know the training really is, but it's just about force. It's about like how to do. Their 6 months of training is mostly about how to do the thing they do 1% of the time, which is handle like dangerous situations. Cops very rarely actually handle dangerous situations. More often than not, they're handling like a domestic dispute, or they need to pull someone over. And then Daunte Wright's a great example. Their training was they need to get this kid arrested with force, as opposed to like maybe they need to talk to him and figure out what's going on and then arrest him quietly.
I think with a 19-year-old, I think it's probably easier to have a conversation. You're already in a position of power and authority. I think it's a lot easier to have a conversation. So I just looked up how long does it take to become a hairdresser as well.
Oh, it's probably similar.
12 to 24 months.
Fuck me. I was right about the 6 months though. What's 6 months for a cop?
It takes 6 months to become a cop. It takes 12 to 24 months. So my girlfriend, who's a hairstylist, it took longer for her to obtain her license and go through training
to snip hair
and do hands-on because, you know, she had to actually get clients and do hands-on styling and be in situational aspects to become a hairstylist than it does for the woman that shot Daunte Wright and been working on the job for 20 plus years.
20 something years. Let me ask you, Terrance. So when last year when they were talking about like defunding the police and I was like, I don't really understand this. I
didn't understand it. I didn't understand it.
Right. So at first I was like, I kind of think, what are we talking about? We're not gonna have police. Like, we need some. I don't want to live in a world with no police. So anarchy, right? But then I started to really think about it, and I was like, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show, but what if they changed it? Right. Let's say, Terrance, you saw someone robbing someone with a knife, right? Or let's say anything else. Whatever you want to call the cops, you call 911. You do what you normally do. 911. You call them. And then what they do, instead of just sending out that call to any police officer, they put in a specific people, right? So let's say you see a couple arguing, it's getting like a little out of hand. They then send people who are trained to handle domestic disputes, who don't have a gun on them. They can write you a ticket. They're cops. They have maybe cuffs, no gun. And they go and they handle that. They don't try to arrest. They just go, what's the problem? Like, let's talk. They're trained to
first
handle
line
that.
of defense.
Yeah. Because
line of defense.
I saw a thing about it, and it was like, literally 90-something% of crimes that are called in, things that are called to cops and cops go and handle, is not what they're supposed to be doing. Like, we think about cops as solving all the problems when we have one, but that's not what they're supposed to be doing. Like, if there's an armed robbery, call on the cops. Sure. Cops should be handling something like that. But if it's a dispute, if there's like, George Floyd, there's someone passing fake bills. Okay, well, someone should go and talk to him and maybe give him a ticket or arrest him. But why do they need a gun? Why do they need to use force? That's not what it's about. They need to be trained to talk to people and figure this out. You know, like, it's not about.
That's where
you put a gun in the situation and people get scared, and rightfully so.
That's where a lot of black people were talking about, hey, you guys are putting police in our communities that know nothing about us or our community.
And what do they have on them, Terrance? They have a gun. And all black people know now is black people getting shot by cops. So it just injects fear immediately.
There makes, like, when you're in high school, I don't know if they did this in Florida, but in New York, a lot of our schools had metal detectors, and they had school safety officers. There's a bunch of them.
My school didn't They opened up a new high school near me that did have metal detectors. Ours didn't, but we always had. I think even in elementary, every school I was in had at least had a resource officer. You know, like some cop who worked there to.
Right.
Yeah.
But you knew them because they were part of the community. I remember
Officer
there was
Pinkman was his name.
There, right, and I had Officer Reed. I remember Officer Reed lived a couple of blocks away.
Right.
So he knew, like, he saw us on the weekend sometimes. It was
every
like,
once
yeah,
in
I
a
saw
while,
you Saturday. Like,
every once in a while, I see
like,
this
yo,
cop,
what
and
you
I was
talking
like,
about?
oh, that's Mr. Pinkman.
You know, like, but it's things like that, you know, let's say I got into a situation, you know, in my life, and I see Officer Reed. I know Officer Reed. Officer
You feel
Reed knows
comfortable.
me.
You know he's not going to want to shoot you in the head, presumably.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, man. So I think you are right. I think we talked about this at one point a long time ago with like Snoop and some other people like went to talk to cops to like try to understand if they're going to be in Compton. Like it's about understanding the community and not.
Oh
just
yeah,
like,
I remember that. Yeah,
that was years ago. We talked about that, but I think that's important. But I think what also is important, I'm telling you, is like not all cops should have guns. Like, you know how we have SWAT teams? Guys have tactical gear and all that stuff. That's what cops should be more like.
The guys that are trained to handle situations.
Yes. The average cop shouldn't have a gun. The average cop should have,
right.
You should be able to arrest people. You should be able to give tickets. All that's the same. And you still command that respect.
And a taser. I'll give you a taser.
And even a taser. So only a taser, though. But an actual, like the cop that we think of now, just a guy with a gun or a person with a gun, they should be a different line. Hey, there's an armed robbery down the street. Hey, there's someone wielding X, Y, and Z. Then maybe you need to call those level of cops.
And think about the fact that, you know, you have been to a gun range?
No.
Think about the fact of this, right? I've been to a gun range plenty of times, right? You graduate school for being a cop, right?
Well, school, I mean, I don't know. It's more of a training.
Training,
6
whatever.
months,
6 months, right?
Siesta.
So in that 6 months, they now hand you a gun.
Yeah.
It is so the feeling that you get when you hold a gun is almost undescribable. Now think about when I fire it off, right? I went to the shooting range. I had so much fun firing a gun. I love going. Every time I go to Pennsylvania, I got to go to the gun range because the adrenaline and everything, the feeling from it is crazy, right?
So
now think about the cop.
Know about that?
Now think about the cop that all they do for years is they had to shoot in a gun range. They've never been in a situation where they had to, you know, think about it first. And although you're looking at books and you went through training for this, obviously, but you never been placed in a situation. They never trained you in a situation to mentally prepare for this thing, right? So there are some, you know how they say like there's some cops with trigger fingers, itchy fingers, and everything like that.
Yeah, they do for sure. There are.
It's because this is the first time in action. I'm in action now. I got my gun. My heart's racing. I got my gun. The only thing I remember is aiming at a target. That's the only thing I remember is aiming at a target. So now I'm in this situation where mentally the only thing I'm thinking about is possibly aiming at a target. I'm not thinking about de-escalation.
Yeah, you're also not thinking about it's a life, not a target, right? It's like a
person.
Right.
They're not They're not thinking about this as a person. They're thinking about it as a target.
It's an interesting point,
a target. Man. That and I literally just thought about that because it's a crazy feeling that you get when you hold a gun. I've shot rifles.
It's like a cool. It's like an adrenaline. You're like, this is like
your adrenaline goes crazy.
But that is a good point, right? That does bring up it is a fun feeling, but cops aren't maybe distinguishing the difference between like that feeling and maybe enjoying that to, ending a life and all the suffering that comes from that action. It's an interesting question. It's an interesting point, but I don't know, man. It's just, I really do think that if you change the way your average cop, you see him in the car, he comes out, not having guns, I think you'd be surprised at how much people would then be scared. Not scared. They would fear a cop a little bit because they don't want to get a ticket or arrested, but they wouldn't fear for their lives.
They wouldn't fear for their lives, and
especially black people.
And a lot of way to hurt a lot of people is in their pockets. You can hurt a lot of people, and I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing in this situation, but I do know you can probably hurt people more by affecting their pockets. So if I get a freaking $2,000 ticket that I got to possibly fight for some, domestic violence case, or, maybe stealing a car or whatever, stealing a car is probably like 10,000. But
yeah,
imagine that now, right? I lived, but now I got to deal with a fucking $10,000 debt.
Yeah.
I'd rather have my life. I'd much rather have my
that's
life.
what I'm saying, man. I think I don't know, man. It's one of those things I never thought about changing the police in my whole life, but once that idea took hold, like almost a year ago, it was like July, August, probably after George Floyd. I was like, that's such a better idea. Like I'm telling you, man. Like if something happens, a cop shows up, there's no gun. The cop is trained. There's specific cops trained. Like I said, how often do cops get called for like domestic things, right? There's a family fighting, or there's friends, or just stuff like that.
In New York, they locked both people up for domestic violence cases.
And not I don't want to say domestic violence like someone's beating someone, but they're yelling,
no,
arguing.
just domestic disputes. They locked both people up.
That's just dumb. Like if you had a cop, and there's a whole branch of these cops, I would say they're trained to handle that type of stuff, de-escalation, arguments. Like they're people that you train that way. You go in, you figure it out. You can defuse situation, and then everyone moves on. No one has to worry about anything. Maybe you have to hand that ticket. Maybe you have to arrest somebody if it gets out of hand. But that's what you do.
But then their job is boring, right?
I don't give a fuck if it's boring. So
their job becomes boring.
So therapist jobs are boring. So we shouldn't have them.
No, I'm on your side with.
No,
this,
I know, but I'm saying
I'm literally I'm taking it from the point of then they'll be like, oh well, then the rate for people becoming cops is going down. We don't have enough officers and things like that.
Here's the thing.
We get all that talk.
Here's the thing. I think a lot of people become cops. And I don't mean to be rude to anyone listening, but I think a lot of people become cops, man, because they don't really know what else to do. And if you're a cop, it's a job. It's a job that comes with benefits. Yeah, and you have a little bit of power. So I think a lot of people become, not everybody, but a lot of people become cops because like they're not sure what they want to do. Like I've had friends who kind of were unsure what to do with their lives who eventually became cops. So I think
there's a lot of them that have issues.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I'm telling you, dude,
kind of dealing with.
I'm telling you, man, like you take the guns away, it changes the whole dynamic. Only for violent crimes do cops have guns. Everything else.
That's why in New York City you hear a lot of them talk about, take that badge off, put that gun down. Let's see what you really about.
Yeah, well, I don't want that.
You hear that, I'm just saying you hear that a lot. You hear that a lot. I don't know about other states, but I know in New York, I hear that a lot. Take that badge off, take that gun, put that gun down, and let's see what you really about. Because behind all of that, you still a person just like me. You still a man just like me.
I think part of that is also like that's kind of showing that they're just bullies. Like those cops, and specifically we're talking about, like they're just bullies, right? They just want to be able to bully people around because they have that power.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I mean, we can wrap this topic up, but I do think I think Maryland or Baltimore, somewhere, man, one of the places I don't remember. I think they did pass something where they are changing the cops, like in the way we think about them. Like I think they are doing something. For some, I don't know why Minnesota didn't do it, but whatever. But
I need a
situation there, bro. Really, like no matter how I look at it.
Need a little palate, a little bellwethers real quick. It was a great conversation, though.
It was a good conversation, man. These are hard conversations to have,
but it needs to be had, though.
100%.
It needs to be had. People need to continue having these conversations, continue having these talks, and we need to definitely keep having these talks with
I love that song. That's
more races as well. Right. Talking to more white people, and you're not my only white friend, obviously. Right. But I have a couple. Honestly, I can count it on one hand how many white people I actually call friends.
It's so funny.
I can count it on one hand.
It's the same with me. I can count how many white friends I have on one hand too.
Yeah, right, on one hand. But even with all four, of you, I'm glad that I could honestly have these conversations, and you kind of understand, not really understand, but just be like, damn, like it's fucked up. It's fucked. Just hearing that alone is just like, what? At least I know what side of the fence you on. There's nothing worse than knowing somebody and not knowing what side of the fence they stand on. It's like you either over here with me or you on that side, because I need people that care about me as well.
Right. You know what's
I
funny?
need that.
You know what's funny about that? Because I actually understand exactly what you're saying, and why I think me and you, why we're brothers, is because last year after the George Floyd thing, right, there was a lot of just hatred coming out of everyone, a lot of protests, crazy stuff. Me and you hadn't really been talking that much at that point. Like we were just middle pandemic. You out of nowhere texted me, and you said something like that. You were like, and I was feeling pretty down about a lot of stuff because everyone was just so much, and you were like, listen, bro, I know things are kind of crazy, and this is out of nowhere. You like things are kind of crazy, but like just know that like I know where you stand, and like you know, something like that, and you were like, I know, and it's people like you and that are helping, like you being this white dude who isn't like these other people, and like you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It's hard to describe. Like it's almost like you knew I needed to hear that. Like I really did need to hear that time, even though me and you hadn't spoken in like a week or two at that point. So
Yeah. And I didn't know that. That literally, that's genuine.
it's the first time I'm telling you this.
That's from the heart. I definitely didn't know that or whatever. So,
but you just knew. I'm saying subconsciously, you knew I needed it.
Nah, probably so,
brothers.
but more so, it was more so. There was looking like a lot of racial division again.
That's what I was feeling, and I was like, this, like,
it's crazy because I, you know, it's not like I'm trying to make you comfortable or something, but I'm more so just trying to.
Me know, like, you know, where I stand.
I'm just letting you know, like, yo, like I know the side of the fence. Like if we got to go to war, I know you're gonna be by my side.
Of course.
That is more so where it's coming from, because I think you mentioned something like you was like, yo, I want to post something or whatever, but I don't know if I should say it, whatever. And I was like, no, say that shit, because people need to know what side you on.
Yeah.
Say it, post it, put it out there, whatever it is. There's gonna be some people that say, oh, Joe, shut up. You're white. You can never understand. You can never relate. And absolutely, they're right. Absolutely. But it don't mean that you got to shut up about it. It don't mean that you stay silent about it. It just means that, you know what, there are people that even from my culture that don't understand that not everybody is our enemy.
Yeah, you know, that's a really good point. You're right.
Not everybody's our enemy.
There's a lot of people who I hate hatred. You know, I hate people who feel that way, like you're describing, who like hate, like they see what happened in George Floyd, but then they like, oh, let me throw this energy to like hating white people. And it's like, it's not really the problem, though, is it? It's
and it's not
people.
My uncle, God rest his soul, he used to I'm laughing right now because he used to always be like, don't trust them white people. They don't know you, they don't like you, you know, they're always, you know, he used to tell me a lot of stuff like that, and I always used to kind of be against it, but I knew where he was coming from. He's from that older generation where it's just like white people
he was taught that, right? Like life taught him to feel that.
Yeah, you know, I knew where he was coming from with it. I didn't bash him for it. I just was kind of trying to let him understand.
Our parents, unfortunately, have views that are just a bit more closed-minded. You know, they grew up in a different society.
Man, but that's what life did to them. You know, and
that's the thing.
Thankfully, life taught us differently.
This is just like we talked about a few weeks ago. Like, is it right? No, but context is important, right? Like they grew up in a different society than we did. You know, and we're fully aware that it's not good to feel the way he felt, or even my parents may have felt about whatever, but it's just a different generation, you know, like it's hard to, you can't compare. Like right now we live in an open society, very more open because of the internet and because it's just the way everything's evolved, but they didn't
keep having these conversations. I do want to say this, keep having these conversations, keep being vocal about these things, and also
never shut up and dribble.
Never shut up and dribble, for sure. But if you're of a different race or culture or whatever it may be, and you feel a way about it, be vocal about it. Don't stand in the shadows. Don't sit on the sideline.
Don't be a doormat. Yeah, like set up yourself on that.
Be vocal about it, and again, let people know what side of the fence that you stand on. It's super important, because you know we need that, because we can't do it by ourselves. History has shown that we can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it's about banding together. That always, you're going to solve a problem with more people, like when more people understand what's going on, not just division and everyone fractured, Yeah. I wanted to bring up actually with you, and this, essentially you spent some truths there, and this might sound crazy. Have you ever thought about being like a philosopher?
No.
So this is what I want to bring up, Terrance.
Why would I be a philosopher?
Listen, you might think it's crazy, right? There is a gentleman named Charles Mills. He's Jamaican American. Well, I think he's Jamaican. I think he is also American now. I think he was born in Jamaica. I think he teaches at CUNY. Right, yeah. But anyway, he is a philosopher. And one thing he's talked about a bunch of times is that, number one, philosophy, whether you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of years ago or right now, is almost exclusively white men. Like right now, it's I think it's 96% white men. 1% of philosophers on the planet are black. 1% are like Native American, 1% like Hispanic. It's fucking insane. He literally says, he's actually a pretty funny guy. He literally says something like, if you go to a conference, like a philosophy conference, you need fucking snow blinders from the glare of white that's coming at you, you know? But what is, you know, which
that's
is
tough because that's only one perspective.
That is when he's a really smart guy. He talks. Here's the thing, and why I said you should do it. Charles Mills is, I believe, a doctor actually, but he's a very smart person. He's an academic, and when he writes about these things, he's exactly right in a lot of what he says. But he writes in a way that most people, you have to almost not decipher it, but it's not as simple reading. Whereas I think if you started writing stuff, you aren't going to do that. You're going to talk in a more colloquial way. And the important thing that he was talking about is, so all these philosophies that we talked about for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? While a lot of them still have a lot of truth to them, that's why they're still taught. They most of them all say the same thing, that all men and women, everyone's created equal. But that's not really true, though, is it? Right? Like me and you are both people, right? But the biggest difference is that no one questions if I'm a person. I'm a person. No one questions that. You don't have that luxury because of being black in your life. You've had people, either white people, presumably, or anyone who's racist, people look down on you for being black or look through you because you're black. So you, even if you don't realize it, you've been almost fighting to prove your personhood, that you are a person just like I am a person.
My whole life. At least like the part of my life where I was able to realize, you know, that me walking behind a white woman, you know, she's probably more scared of her than I am of her.
Right.
You know, but I mean that because I literally had that situation last week.
Right.
I was like, let me just cross the street.
We've done. But this is what I'm saying. Like people, when we think about all these philosophies people come up with, they're thinking of these things from that perspective. And yeah, we're all people, but you have to fight for people to believe you're a person sometimes. Maybe not so much as lately, I don't really know, but it's completely different. These philosophies are not done from a black perspective or a minority perspective. Right. They're done from the white male perspective. And so that's
America, right?
But no, not even, these aren't even, I'm not talking about American philosophers. I'm talking about just like some of these philosophers. Like,
that's the world. Yeah.
Like, absolutely. I think, therefore I am is Descartes. He's French. You know, like a lot of these things, it's just all these philosophies have always been white male, and it's not accurate. You know, like the reason they were able to think about a lot of these things too is because white people have the luxury to contemplate the universe and all these things, when black people are still just fighting to be recognized as people. So it's not the same perspective. So there needs to be, and there's like almost no black philosophers, right? So it's just like anything, right? Like if you look into a field and there's like no black people, you're like, well, what? Huh? It's to make you less interested in it. But I'm telling you, man, like if you were to get involved, I know it sounds dumb, but if you would really think, you get really introspective, if you were to really think about all sorts of things like that, whatever you want, if you were to write down like random questions, like, are you a person? Or like, why do you consider yourself a person? Or any of these things, anything that you think about, I think if you wrote them down and put them out there, you'd be surprised. Like people would listen to that because it's from a perspective that's not from some white dude. It's from like a black guy who understands the world we're living in. And it's not the same.
Should try that. I might try that, you know, come out with a book of questions.
I'm telling you, we need more black. We need more fucking philosophers who aren't white guys. Shit sucks. Yeah. But anyway, man, it's a good show. I think we'll wrap it up as we always do with a hypothetical. You ready for it?
What's up? What you got?
Dan, would you rather have the best house in a bad neighborhood or the worst house in a great neighborhood? That's, you know, an amazing house,
best
shit neighborhood,
in the
though.
Bad.
We get like an amazing house in a shit neighborhood or a shit house in an amazing neighborhood.
See, you got to think about, now I'm thinking about the human aspect of it, right? Because the human aspect of it would say people are often jealous. So if I have the best house in the worst neighborhood, like horrible neighborhood, I'm probably not going to have the best house for long.
That's what I thought about too. Yeah.
And then if I have the worst house in a shit and in a great neighborhood, then I got to think about my own well-being and just like mental kind of like strength to be like, you know what, a house is a house, no matter what they house look like or my house look like. A house is a house. At least I have a roof on my head.
Right.
If I had to choose, I'd go worst house, best neighborhood.
I think I would too. And also, if you have the worst house in a great neighborhood, who's to say you can't get that house better? You can't just make it better.
Yeah, you can make it
Fix
better.
it up,
Plus, the
start to-
value of it is gonna be better and stuff like
Like
that.
you said, if you have a great house in a shit
yeah.
neighborhood, you don't have to start vandalizing it or trying to rob you or some shit. I mean, it's a bad neighborhood. You don't.
Humans
you
are
don't have to-
naturally jealous, and like it's
Yeah.
just.
And they
it's
might
just
look down at your shit house in their nice neighborhood, but then you just, for some time, you just have to add to it maybe, or just redo it.
I
Make the
can
lawn
anything
nicer.
better.
Yeah, I agree.
Anything better.
But yeah, Terrance, that comes to the end. Unless you have anything else for us, man.
No. Good show. Good
Oh.
show. Hopefully, people take something away from this, but it's a good show, man.
It was a good talk. Like you said, we need to keep having these talks.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it then. I think we're headed out. Thank you for listening. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us, and we appreciate that. Need I say more?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to I keep on doing it. Damn it.
What was that?
The ladies and gentlemen thing. I gotta stop.
Oh,
doing
yeah.
Every fucking time, Terrance, I swear.
You can't be that guy.
I'm trying not to.